Welcome back, everybody. It is NCAA tournament time. It is starting today, April 30th, obviously is the time of this recording, but we are back with another episode of Team Huddle, your source for all the good volleyball stuff, coaching, advice, everything. With me, as always, is Nolan Chang, Keone McKeegan, Jared Shirai, and I, of course, am Jalen Holston, the host of Team Huddle. Boys, how are we doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
I'm doing great.
A little hungry, but other than that, I'm great.
Excellent. Most excellent. Yes, we all picked the Ohio State for this opening round. It is literally starting right now at the time of this recording, so I will be watching that match, seeing if one of our predictions comes true, and if not, we are going to have to do some serious shots because if we that throws our whole bracket out the window. Woo!
Wow.
So I hope
the biggest surprise of
Ohio State better win, otherwise we started off on that L.
Right. We start off on an L there. We're doomed. We're doomed.
We're already taking L's in the freaking NBA playoffs bracket things.
You're not even joking when it comes to
that. I want to say we were like 50-50 on that one, so it's been pretty bad thus far.
I was like, this should be a sweep, and then they win.
And if the Kings win right now, that's another one.
Yep. This is not looking good. Well, boys, let's do our weekly check-ins with our coaches. Jared, I'll start off with you. I know you had some pretty exciting stuff going on there. Saw some stuff on the Instagrams from your boy Henry and whatnot. So fill us in. What's going on? What's going on with the boys?
You already know. No.
What's the 4-1-1?
CIF playoffs started this past week. We won our first match on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. We played Royal, who was the
for those who are not in the know, CIF is
the playoffs
California.
For the California.
Yeah, thank you.
Like state championship stuff
or something.
It's like actually CIF is separate than state championships.
Is it?
CIF is regions.
CIF is like
gotcha. There you go.
So that might be like our district kind of thing.
So
yeah, that's okay.
section,
there you go.
Southern
So like
section,
ILH,
different
OIA
divisions.
down here. I got you.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So we are Division 2. We had a pretty decent seed. So we played Royal first. They were the defending Division 3 champions, CIF, and the state runner-ups last year. And so they moved up to Division 2. We took care of them in 4. Should have been 3, but my team loves to just extend volleyball like
stats, coach.
Yeah, we pat them a little bit. No.
Yeah.
And then we played Long Beach Wilson last night. Yesterday, actually, sorry, at 3 p.m. On the day of our boys' prom. So they're a little distracted, but they are the number 1 seed with a kid from Guatemala that played in for the USA the national team, that team that went to Guatemala. He was one of their opposites, setter, and this kid he flies. He's a sophomore, and he's OTing 4-4. Like, it's ridiculous. Wow. Going up over probably our biggest blocker and hitting middle of the court, like just bouncing. This kid is good. When push came to shove, they're setting him.
Kids are freaks.
Long story short, we win the game in 5, 16-14.
Woo!
14.
Upset alert, boys.
Upset alert.
Let's go.
On top of that, we are big star outside hitter who gets a lot of our sets as well. Goes down in set 4.
Oh my God!
Wow.
We're up 10-5. Goes out in set 4. He's like, we stopped the game for like
ankle
15, like it's like 15 minutes or so. Ankle. He went up for a big ball. I think he got the kill, and then he landed on our middle. Like, it was so sad.
Yeah.
I felt so bad. Yeah.
God damn it, Kyle! Get the hell out of the way.
He felt so bad, and
Back
this
along,
is
bitch.
the craziest part about the story. Okay, we look down. Henry looks down the bench. He looks at me, and I tell him, he's like, I think this kid. I was like, I 100% agree. Starting outside hitter for my JV team. First varsity match ever.
Oh God.
CIF outside. Kid comes in, just digs a few balls, does his job, like brings a lot of fire to the court, and he plays the rest of set 4, starts in set 5, and like it's like proud dad moment because I was coaching JV this year, and I was like, this kid is good. I like this kid. Always backed him, and just the fact that he stepped in that moment, I was like, bruh, It's so crazy, and like one of the biggest moments
Hey.
against one of the biggest teams. Yeah, it was super heartfelt. Like people are crying. Our outside hitter is crying on the bench. The girls, the varsity girls that came to watch, like the parents stormed the court afterwards, and it was so awesome. 16-14.
When's the next game?
We play Wednesday. We play Upland, who was Division
Jordan
3 last year.
Lucas.
Jordan Lucas,
Let's go.
Science Slade. They were the CIF Division 3 runner-ups who lost to Royal, but beat Royal in state. So they beat Los Al. So we win. That's the quarterfinals right there for us. So we win that, then we secure a state run as well. So should be fun. Yeah, it's been a fun volleyball. Yesterday it was surreal.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's a hell of a starter, man. You got to follow that up, Nolan. Good luck.
Well,
It's like, so we had practice.
So what happened was
well, no, actually, this week was our boys' second half tryouts. Crazy thing, we get to the gym. We're expecting, because we didn't really market it much because we didn't want to make new teams. We just wanted to fill in gaps that we knew people who were coming back. We were expecting maybe 18, 20 guys, just kind of by word of mouth. Get to the gym, 80 kids.
Wow.
80 kids. And we had to turn most of them away because we said right in the beginning of the trials, like, hey, we don't have the facilities, we don't have the coaches right now to create more teams for the second half. So we're just filling in what we can. And then, obviously, like, we're going to be hosting camps and clinics. Like, we would love for you guys to come back next season, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles right now. We can't really do much about it. So able to get a few solid pieces for most of our ones teams, filling around certain players that we knew were struggling, some guys that we know aren't coming for nationals. So we do have our first practice today, but I won't be there because I have my family dinner. But the pieces that I picked up, I feel like are exactly what my team is lacking.
That's good.
Like we need a solid O2. We need another middle because our main middle was a young senior, and he's going out of the country for his summer break. So I was like, "You're not going to make nationals." He's a athletic middle.
How did you decide the half that you turned away? That's what I was curious about.
So it's more of like, well,
It's just like, that guy's pretty short. He's not.
That guy.
Because that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, were you just like basing it off of like that guy?
Well, we
looks
got
like-
this. We got one middle that's about 6'2", 6'3".
Okay.
Kind of not. I wouldn't say he's super coordinated, but he gets the job done. He athletic enough. Then I picked up another outside who is actually a freshman or sophomore for my 17s team, and the only reason we did that is because our 15s and 16 ones were full, but we want this kid in our system. So I was like, I'm going to offer him a spot to be on my 17s team for this back half because he's good enough to at least play with my boys, and we want to make sure that we retain him for the next season. And then there was two outsides that were maybe 6', 6'1". Both of them declined just because they were, I guess, doing stuff for the summer and couldn't commit. And then I guess there was makeup trials today that I didn't have to go to. And one of my directors said, "Hey, we just got you another 6'2" outside if you want to offer him." I was like, "Hell yeah, I do. Send him the registration forms and I'll see him next practice."
Nice.
Yeah, so boys season, I'm gonna have to wait and see how it all.
It's like, so it was based on height. Gotcha. Okay. It's just like, because you literally said two guys who were 6'2" and above, so I was like, you son of a gun.
Well,
the small little Asian.
Give
not
us
that they
some.
weren't-
Sorry,
It's
we're
like,
good.
give us short
It's just
people some
It's just,
credit.
if I
you
look
son.
over their head, it's not gonna work out.
Come on, man. Phil Lopez was.
Oh, no.
Hey, Phil Lopez actually beat one of my club coaches last night. Because he's
Oh.
Yeah,
right?
Fairmont Pet Juan.
Yep,
Fairmont-
they beat
Fairmont's
South Pass
still
in
in.
3. I was like, she was messaging me last night. She's like, "Yeah, we got swept." I was like, "What?"
Nah, he's got two legit outsides. Like
Oh, he
one
does?
plays for our 18-1s, the other one I think can't remember where he plays. Pinnacle maybe.
Okay.
So he has like two.
You got
that's
the
gonna
quality
carry
boys.
them. So
But yeah, other than that, gonna have family dinner later tonight, then go to my girls' practice and start rolling with the boys' season as well.
Nice, very nice. Keone, how are the drunkards at the station? Did we see any progress? Did we?
It was our first in I think I told you guys last. I was like we were 3-0, or we had 3 wins in a row.
Now
This
you're
was our first
0-3.
loss. It was a tough one, very controversial because I think we've talked about it here on the pod before, where officiating isn't always consistent.
Is it always like the off team that's refereeing?
And
Great
this
referees
is
everywhere in the nation.
yeah, this is it's a co-ed league, so there are a lot of rules, obviously, like how
Girl has
you
to touch it.
guys. Well, not even that. It's like guys can't like hit down on the net or hit at the net. They have to hit from the 10-foot line.
Yeah.
It's not an
Hit from
open
the 10-foot
division
line.
co-ed. This is like lower
It's
division co-ed.
it's California reverse co-ed.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
reverse.
It's
code for us,
reverse, but
yeah,
you
I
can
get
hit from the 10-foot line in that.
So there's-
unless you're in
so-
the back row.
There's a lot of rules that like we've been called on before, specifically because there's myself and another guy who used to play volleyball on the team now, and like we've been called on like down tips at the net just because they don't like us hitting down at the net in any way, shape, or form, even if it's a tip. So we haven't been doing that. And then this game, we just had like a dude who just kept hitting it at the net and downing it at the net and not a single call. So it was a lot of, we were very heated. I think that's the first time in a minute that I've been mad playing a game, and half the team you could tell was just mad and just ended up
Welcome
being
back.
just one of those like, so we play them again soon. And needless to say, they will not surprise us again on the second round. It was a good time. A lot more drinking after that game than the other games.
In the
But
last games.
yeah. But either way, I mean, we're looking forward to bouncing up on this next team. I think they're technically the number 1 seed in the league, so it'll be a good time. Got a lot of communication things to work out with the team. So yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's say the boys for me this week, it was a lot of let's get ready for district play, which is in 2 weeks, because we have a good shot at winning our district and getting into that quarterfinal for state playoffs and that Elite 8 bracket. All good stuff, right? It's exactly where you want to be. So Thursday we played a team that we rolled in an hour. Like match time was total an hour. The last time we played them, but we went 5 because they didn't quite. I guess they just didn't believe me when I said I wrote 3 lineups and I expect these 3 lineups to win, and I don't care who I have out there. And we pulled up a JV kid to play libero. We switched some people around. We got some kids off the bench that hadn't played before, and it was a good lesson for them on like we say what we mean and we mean what we say. So quit crying that you're not playing all the time. When we put you in to play the game, I don't care if it's a bad team, you need to do well, because clearly if you don't do well against a bad team, why am I ever going to put you in a game that matters? You know what I mean? So we get through set 1, we take the first one because I have my normal lineup out there. Then we start mixing stuff up in set 2, and they decided not to play up to their capabilities. So that trash team got some hope and ran us the next set back to back. So then I had to put most of my guys back in set 4, get the game back, and then win again in set 5. So good discussion that was had. And then we go into the weekend where we're going to play. I think we played 3 out of the top 5 schools in the area were in our pool for Saturday. We split one of them, lost to the other 2. But then we get into the bronze bracket, and we have a very, very interesting game that will lead us into our first topic of the day for Team Huddle this week. And it was a very spicy game, let me put it that way. So the Thursday night game, we didn't have our MVP, which is more than likely it's one of our outsides or right sides that plays outside sometimes. So without that kid, our passing is not the same. So we didn't have him Thursday, so I had to play his backup in mainly his opposite role, and he did amazing. He finally got to start a game. He's been really patient. He's a junior sitting behind a senior trying to get ready for next year, that kind of thing. So this kid's been fucking great about it. Great attitude, just kept working hard. And when he got his time, that dude had like 20 kills in that game. He just absolutely teed off. And the competition was lower, but I mean, it's still, you got to go do the thing, right? Dude had a great match. So then we get to Saturday, and it's just one of those situations where we felt he played so well that we can shift the normal right side that we have that wasn't there Thursday. He can play outside. It's fine because he can pass really well. So we did that, and Saturday was really good. And then we get to this game, and this kid just kept going up as the day went. He started to figure out how to block more against really, really good outsides and all that, and had a great game at this bronze opening match. It was a bronze semifinal. But my middle, however, caused an entire situation from a head coach of the other team that leads us into a discussion of letting ego ruin the fun of volleyball from a head coach perspective. And then we can dive into how to manage the ego of your actual players. But what happened was we got called out of rotation, and it's late in set 2. We're about to go to set 3. My boys are the kind of kids that when they get a trash call, the next play is so focused, and we literally just don't ever lose points if there's a trash call. There's times in matches where I'm like, I really hope there's a bad one so we can just get a free transition ball going back out there. So that happens. My kids are pissed. Next ball, back one to my middle, throws it down. So he decides he is going to glare across the net, and not for a minute. Like, he got down and walked left, and then he decided to walk all the way right and then turn around. So it was a little too long for
God, yeah, that was just the right amount of time, man. What are you talking about?
Bro, listen. I thought it was a bit long. Like, my kids do stuff like that sometimes, okay, but normally it's not that long. Like, clearly something else was said prior to. Otherwise, knowing my players, that would not have happened as long as it did. But that caused the other coach to get up and throw a big old hissy fit and make it all about him. So the rest of the match, he is berating the referees. He is berating my players. And then a couple plays later, that fantastic kid that filled in at right side does the same thing. And he is then on another level of irate. And so then after the game, like, we're trying to be respectful. I grabbed my middle by the shirt once he got back to the sideline. And I said, hey, listen, that was too much. And you fucking know that. Like, you know that, right? And he's upset with himself. And he's like, yeah, but like this kid, I was like, I don't care. I get it. But you need to go apologize to that head coach as soon as this game's over. So my kid does the right thing and tries to walk up to the head coach. And I'm right behind him in the line. Mm-hmm. And the head coach just completely petty. Just like, get out of here. No, I'm not shaking hands with you. I'm like, are you serious? And I was like, my kid's literally trying to apologize to you, and you don't want to shake his hand, just say good game. And it was personal because the head coach coached me in club back in the day and all that other stuff. So what should have been like a kind of cool, it should have been a cool, like, I'm proud of you as a former player of mine or like somebody I know of from back in the day moment, right? But he turned it into this huge petty argument. He's talking crap about my program up and down the hallway after the game and all this stuff. So he turned what was really an incredible match for my boys because there were horrific calls the entire match. So we did get a lot of free points. But they stayed together, and without me even trying to say anything, the referees had already warned them about, cheering across the net. They decided to play the silent game, which was a game that we played back in the day when we had terrible teams where you do a full-on volleyball action. So if you bounce the ball, you turn around, you celebrate, but no words come out. So you do like everything like that, the whole match. And I was like, this is phenomenal. They did that on their own. And so I just that's where I got to bring this into the fold, right? At what point, how do you guys personally try to manage that ego to where you remain professional and you remain respectable and you keep the game fun? Because I think that's the part that when I walked out of the tournament and I had to do my PR stuff and make my rounds and make sure my kids were good, that's the part that ticked me off the most was like, how are you as a grown-ass man going to not be able to get your shit out of your own way and just shake hands with children? You know what I mean? Like, you are supposed to be a role model. You are supposed to be an example. You are the head coach of a varsity program. So, Jared, I'll start with you since I feel like you may have some experience in this regard.
Because you're usually the coach in that situation, yeah, Jared.
No, I've been the player in that situation too. In high school.
Yeah, he's been both sides, right? Yeah,
I was a hothead in high school. It was bad. But
I've been known to run a little hot, back in the day.
I mean, I did it, when we were at. I did it when we were at Hope, I did it when we were at Hope too. Bit.
Yeah,
and a lot of our old
I probably
players.
talk shit to Jared the most. That hope.
Everybody. No, that's not true. Because every time you beat Philip in a joust, you would talk the maddest crap to him.
Oh, I was under the net every time. I was under the net. There was no
talking to
yeah.
him.
That was full disrespect. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, as a coach, since we're talking about egos, I think
right
on the boys' side, that's all it is. There's only egos,
Absolutely.
And I've learned that I think through the years and even through just this season, we have some egos on our team. We have a kid, we have a senior who's the man, basically, because he's a senior. He starts, he's the man. We have a freshman who's learning to be that, but we want him to be a diva as well, because we want the best out of them. And then you have guys who are just athletically talented, like our basketball players and things like that. And for me, when it comes to them, I've learned that I would say 95% of the kids that are on the varsity team, you can be blunt with. Like, you just go up to them and you tell them straight. Like the basketball kids yesterday at the game, I said, I know you. I know how hard you work. I know what you do. I know how basketball works as well. And I know the coaches are just as tough, if not tougher on you. So I know you can take this. I said, get on this side of that guy right freaking now. And if he hits past you, you suck. You are not doing your, like, I can just be blunt with that about it. And this is a 6'9" kid that's looking at me and looking down at me like, bruh.
Right.
I'm telling you right now, like, I'm not the one that's going to be mad. You're going to be mad because Henry's going to take you out.
Blocking everything.
Yeah,
for real.
And he started doing, even our 6'6" middle, like, he started doing it, and they were getting great touches. I was like, you're either protecting the setter, or it's go it goes straight to our libero, and if he doesn't dig it, then that's on him. Like, when it comes to their egos, they're like, oh, I'm bigger, I'm better, I'm more athletic. And, I'm like, yeah, but you still suck. I'll be real about it. Like, I tell him, my libero, I was so proud of him yesterday. He has the biggest ego in the damn world. I think he's God's gift to volleyball. And like, his brother was a baller, and his brother was the complete opposite, like the humblest person you could possibly meet. And he played on a great team. He played on Balboa's 18-1s.
Sheesh.
When they won that 22 and when they went 22-0 at junior nationals, like 2-3 years ago, he was on that team.
Damn.
And but the brother's so opposite. And so he comes yesterday, oh, coach, I passed a 2.4, like, I had a great game, this and that. I was like, yeah, 2.4 is great. I was like, yeah, but remember 11-10 when you got aced in the most crucial part of the match in set 5? And he's like, oh, yeah. I was like, yeah. I was like, Tristan, you got to understand, boy. Like, you can be great, you can have all these things, but you got to be there when it matters.
Yeah.
And it brought him down to size, but then and then the conversation, I'm always like, I do stroke their ego a little bit. I was like, you did play great here, and that's the best I've seen you play in a while, And so it's a give and take. Like, you have to know how to bring them down to size and humble them, but you don't want to take away the ego too much, because that's the confidence that they play with.
Yeah.
Right.
The confidence that portrays why they can be great. So for me, it's just about being blunt with them. Girls is a whole different story. I don't even want to get into that. But like boys, since we're in boys season, like boys, I'm very blunt with the boys when it comes down to now. I used to be the really nice coach. Ask Henry. I was a nice coach. I was like, just, oh, it's okay. Da, 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 da. Now it's just like with the boys, it's this way or it's nothing.
Right. Exactly. So that's some great insights. I agree. It's weird because you really do have to kind of ride the wave of the ego when you're in the coaching seat, right? Like, you don't want them to go so overboard that your team is perceived as, the douche team, right? But you don't need them so far removed that they don't play with any kind of confidence or gall to them. So it's definitely a delicate walk that we have to kind of figure out how to get out of our kids. So Nolan, from a head coach perspective, how do you manage your own ego and not, manage, let it fluster and get out of control and whatnot?
I think it just depends on the situations, really. If you're in those, like Jared's situation where he's not making the corrections and the applaud he's giving to his players about him and not trying to bring that player down in any sort of way. It's more of, hey, I'm going to let you know straight up. If you're doing this well, fantastic. If you're not doing this well, this is why you're not doing it well. I'm not doing it because I want to feel better about myself as a coach that I can talk down to you and say, no, it's like get in check. You're doing it because you want to correct it for the better scheme of your team. And I think that's a huge thing is because a lot of times, I haven't had to work with too many of these coaches, but I do know that they're out there where, you were a great player and you're coming back to coach club or a high school team. You're scrimmaging with the team because they need an extra 12th man on the court, and you make everything about you. Like, oh yeah, I'm bouncing the ball on my setter. I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. I'm digging your hits. Like, great. You're a coach. You don't fucking matter for the next game. Like, you should be making sure you're helping these boys. Like, sure, if you want to challenge them and play better against them and make them have to work harder, awesome. But I feel like a lot of coaches do get that kind of stuck where it's like, oh, you're not doing what I would have done. Like, oh, I can do this better than you would have done it when I was in your position. And I think that's a huge thing for coaches to start recognizing, because our time is done as players for the most part. BLA, all that good stuff. Not going to take that away from anyone. Our time as players is done. And it's not like I'm playing on a club team to prove myself to maybe move to the next level, or playing on a college team to get that starting spot. I'm here to coach you, and I'm going to make you as best as I can to the best of your ability. And I think that it definitely depends on the players you have, because, some players won't take it seriously, or some players do have that ego where, oh, like, coach, I've never seen you do this before. Why am I going to listen to you when you say, do it this way, correct it this way? It's just, it should be how a coach relationship is. Like, if your player's not respecting you because of that, then maybe there's something different that needs to be fixed in the team. But yeah, I think that for a coach, just making sure that you're using your ego at the right times. It's never about you. It's about your team and what you can do for your team and how you can make them better. And if it is, a situation like yours, Jalen, where another coach is just being stupid and belligerent, hey, I'm going to be the coach I'm supposed to be. If you start attacking my players, that's different. I'm going to take some issue with that. And you start saying something that's attacking us as a team or as a people, and not really, and our program as looking down on our program, and rather than saying like, oh, I didn't like that they played this way or this way. Like, that's different. But don't attack my team. Don't attack my players. Don't attack my coaching staff. That's where my ego will come into it.
Exactly. It's definitely an ebb and flow. Because, I mean, it was a literal, it felt like I was watching a 10-year-old have just a tantrum because they didn't win. Like, it's not my fault that I also found out later, apparently their kids had prom. So, like, they played awful, straight up. Like, they did not pass well. They let us go on too many serve receive runs after winning the first set. And then they may have gotten too big an ego after the first set. But yeah, so that's how that kind of went down. But Keone, herd coach, was like, where do you fall on the lines of, finding that kind of balance for ego for kind of both sides?
Specifically for your situation, I mean, that's way out of pocket. Like, I mean, let's be real. You're not a player anymore. You should never be trying to even go back and forth with a player. I mean, for me, like, I don't care how close in age they are. I don't know. Your coach, you said he coached you, so maybe he's sounds like he's a little bit older. So for me,
oh no, he's way older.
So, yeah,
he has a child, the 401k, a wife, a house. He's an adult, and he acted like he was 7 and didn't get the toy he wanted for Christmas.
That to me, like, that is so unprofessional. That is so just whack. I've never heard of that before. Like, for a coach to act that way, especially in high school. Like, for me, it'd be one thing if it's college, even you're getting with a little bit more grown adults, but you're literally talking about children here. So for me, that's a little ridiculous. And so for that situation, that coach is just way out of pocket. Like you said, should have been a respectful game, should have been a great moment for the both of you. But speaking from somebody who has had the two types of coaches, I've had one from high school who was very, very high strung, especially when it came to like other teams, especially when it came to our rival teams. He was a graduate from our school, so more so when we played teams that like Punahou, who were considered our rivals, like
there was a little more on the table.
But it showed in his demeanor. He definitely would get angry and he would kind of like lash out in a way, and sometimes he'd be like kind of it would just be kind of like this weird energy of like where you don't want to disappoint him, like in a like a father son type of, you know what I mean? Like it's that kind of feeling, which I don't think is a good thing to have, especially when you're working with like kids. I mean, I think it's not a really good environment to be like coaching in. So I've seen that side of it, but I've also had a club coach. Shout out to him also because they just took the OIA Division One championship. Coach Allen, Moanalua High School boys. So shout out to them. They're going to states, so we'll see.
Austin Zavala.
Yeah. But yeah, so he was my coach for club volleyball, and the talk about complete opposite. Like no ego whatsoever. Obviously, was a former player, but took everything in stride, and especially when it came to like our games, like we had a lot of moments like that, especially when we go to like tournaments in California, for instance. We're always one of the shorter teams, but we're always like the scrappiest. We always end up, beating teams that we shouldn't be beating, but we're beating them anyway because we have great defense and just great fundamentals. And there was a lot of moments where you had like guys who were like 6'6" and above, and they're slamming balls, and then they kind of look over and they get like that one good ball, but then the rest were digging them. And it's funny because there was a time I remember specifically one guy like pointed at the team and was just like literally like pointing like who he was going to try to hit it at next, like kind of stuff. And my coach could tell that we were all getting flustered. No, literally, like exactly like that. He could tell like we're all getting flustered, pulls us off to the side, and it's just like, you know what, guys? You're always going to face these type of players. There's always going to be those people who talk. They're always going to be that way against you guys, especially because you guys are the shortest team here. He's like, but they're mad because you're winning. They're mad because you're beating them. They're mad because you're better. And and that sense of calm that he has, for me, like that is the perfect ego to have, because it's like, we're better, but you do it in silence. You do it without having to speak the words and make the motions and get all crazy. You do it just by playing the. Yeah, no, man, but I was gonna say, but from the player standpoint, and I understand it was definitely but I mean, you're players, you're young, you're still going through the maturity deal, like. Yeah, you're going to have moments like that where you slip. I mean, I've had them, and I, for one, like I'm not a talker in any way, shape, or form. I could have the biggest block.
What? Not sports, but Call of Duty and everything else. That's cap.
In sports, I'm never that kind of guy because I used to get whoopings if I ever was that guy. So for me, it was like, is it worth getting beat up after the game? No. So like for me, but that's why I said, like, for me personally, like my dad always instilled that in me, like to be humble, especially when you're playing. He's like, down, up, whatever your competition is, it doesn't matter. Like keep it humble. Don't be talking across like all that stuff. So
there's always a bigger fish.
Yeah, and that for me was never my deal in any sport, even if good or bad. So to have kind of like that sense of like coach for me, like was absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, definitely, man. As a coach, like, what are you doing, dog? What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know what that guy was doing.
That's kind of crazy. I love how Keone brought that up. It kind of made me think of something that I think we all know about. Basically, you guys all know Kulukoa. You guys all know Michael Ma'a, Sky, Tui, Evan, Enriquez. When they were playing at Kulukoa, they used to train. They trained with like some Hawaii greats. They trained with a lot of good big name coaches. Have you ever noticed how that team has never celebrated after points and everything? Mm-hmm. The coach's mindset for them basically was, you're supposed to do that. So there's no reason to get high, no reason to get low. If you're going to miss a dig, then you get mad, right? You get mad at yourself. But every point that you play, you're going to play hard. And if you win it, you're expected to win it. And that was how they kind of kept their egos in check. That's why for a long time, they were really humble. Like Mike was a very sporadic player, very emotional, very like high energy. But even when he would play for Kulukoa, he wasn't always that guy. Mm-hmm. I think it was after he like left, when he went to go play with Joe and Gage, in his 18th year, and then he went to college where he found that like fire and passion even more so. But yeah, I mean, from a coach's standpoint, when I saw that and I was young when they were doing that. I mean, I think I was in my 20s when they were still like 14, 15 in high school.
Yeah.
And you see kids that get taught that, and the way they would buy in and be like, yeah, we don't need to get excited. We get a big, like, they get some big kills or big blocks, big digs. And it's just like, great, good job. Move on to the next point.
Yeah.
And it's more of a mindset thing. And I think it sucks because you ought to see your kids get excited, but to be disciplined and know like that's your job and to understand it, I think that's how you keep an ego in check as well, no matter how good you are, how good you're supposed to be. Because Pono was good, and Michael was expected to be just as good as, if not better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But again, it always goes back to our own, philosophies on things, right? It always kind of trickles out that way. I'm definitely more of a, fun guy, and yeah, kid gets a big bounce. I expect my bench to be doing laps. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. Like, volleyball is a fun game. We all play.
Jalen needs celebration of the week. They got to win that.
I need sellies, dude. I need the sellies
of the week, man.
Hell yeah. I need sellies all day, every day. But
just
yes.
Gonna tag Dustin Watson, tag No Easy Buckets every time you get a sellie.
Every time.
Make sure he gets you on that, man.
Absolutely, man. Some of the digs my libero's gotten as a freshman, I should be sending those to Dusty, man. He's cracked right now. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. He's starting
That's
to figure it out.
That's how you get him out there, and then Dustin will repost. And
exactly,
hey, if this kid
man.
wants to play in college, that's a great backing to have.
Hell yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so we've taken a great deep dive into the ego, and hopefully if you're a coach that's listening, you can kind of take some of the things that we noted about how to manage our own players' ego, and then how we as coaches manage our own ego and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, you can just fight your kids sometimes. It's fine. You know what I mean?
Fight your kids, fight the other coaches. Yeah, you're good.
Make sure nobody's looking. And they'll be totally okay.
Remember,
but
no
hey,
shots, so there's no
Keone, what is it? Parking lot?
Go for the ribs.
Parking lot. Parking lot. Yeah. As long as it's in the parking lot, it's all good. But yeah, next episode, obviously, we'll have some results of this crazy NCAA tournament that's going down right now, and all those great things. But yeah, if you want to catch up with us on the internet, we have several places you can do so, including our very own Instagram page at Poi and Soy on Instagram. But individually, whatever, the same thing. They can Google it. We're there. We're on Instagram. It's in the link below.
Link in the bio.
It's everywhere. We're on the things. You know what I mean? But if you want to talk to us individually about specific things, maybe you want to check up on Jared's team specifically. Maybe you want to hit up Nolan and be like, hey, we found a really tall guy that's in, Pasadena. And he should come to play on their volleyball team.
Look you in the eyes.
Oh, man. Well, where can people find you, Nolan, in case they do find a 6'4" outside in Pasadena that doesn't play for you?
You guys can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at NolanKYT, NOLANKYT.
Awesome. Keone, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at Keone. That's KAYOHKNEE.
And Jared, where can people find you?
I am on Instagram and Twitch at JShirai, JSHIRAI, on Twitter at JShirai808. And if you want to come to Wednesday's game, if you're in Orange County, we are at home for our quarterfinal. So
let's go, baby.
Come check it out.
That gym better be packed. I better see an Instagram story of just a huge gym mobbing the courts.
I'm hoping so. It's a big gym, and I think it's a 5:00 game, or maybe 6.
Ooh,
so it's at home. So it's a school day. So we're hoping that we pack it out.
Forgot to shout out Kamehameha Sports. Unreal. 4 championships in a matter of like 48 hours. Heading for that 5th with volleyball, men's volleyball game coming up Tuesday.
Let's go.
Punahou versus Kamehameha.
All I'm gonna say is when Olu went to Hawaii, they beat Kamehameha.
Just saying.
we beat Charlie Wade's son, man.
Just saying.
Nah, it was fun though. It was a fun battle when we played them.
Hell yeah!
Hey,
you can find me on,
do you know who their head coach is? Sorry, Jay.
Oh, you're good.
No.
Dude, what?
No.
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Art by Jalen, Twitter at Jalen Holston, and then on Twitch sometimes streaming at Mogathanos _LGG. Great stuff. But anyway, that's that. We've been us. You've been you. That was another episode of Team Huddle for you. And we will catch you back next week with some more volleyball love, coaching love, and all that good stuff. From the boys here at Poi and Soy, good vibes and love, everybody.
Love, everybody.
Bang, bang.
Shooties.